Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on Sunday, the 29th of November. And boy, oh boy, we have a cracking lot of sport to get through this morning. We'll bring you the result of the one-day the T20 game in South Africa, where South Africa played England. In the rugby, we've got the Mitre 10 Cup, the Argentina versus the All Blacks, and also we'll bring up to speed with the Wales-England game as well. Also, the 18 basketball has continued, so we'll bring you up to date with those games. In Formula One, we have got the Bahrain International, Bahrain Grand Prix, not International. And the qualifying there, I'll let you know how Lewis Hamilton is going versus Max Verstappen. And we've also got results from both the Premiership hockey and Premiership football here in New Zealand, as well as golf going on in South Africa. So a packed morning full of sport. We'll start off with that cricket game that was live yesterday when we were talking. I was bringing you the news in the England set a target of 179 by South Africa, and they chased that down with 4 balls to spare. The police top scored for South Africa with 58, with Curran leading the bowling, taking 3 wickets and only going at 7 and over. In England's reply, wickets were falling, but Bairstow stuck around and anchored the innings with a score of 86 that saw England home. Lindy with 2 wickets and only going at 5 and over was the best bowler for South Africa. But as I say, England made it home with just 4 balls to spare. Don't forget that we have the second T20 between New Zealand and the West Indies over at Mount Maunganui today, and obviously we'll bring you that update on that tomorrow morning. I'm going to bring in Stephen now, who's going to help us go through the rugby update. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Paul. Privileged to be on the morning sport briefing. Of course, a couple of big rugby games over the night. We'll start with international rugby, and the All Blacks have avenged that loss to Argentina by coming out on top by 38 points to 0 after they led by 10 points to 0 at halftime. The All Blacks scored, I think it was 5 tries in total. The first half try to Dane Coles, and then that was followed up not so much early in the second half in the first quarter by Ardie Savea. Took the All Blacks a long time to break down some very determined Argentinian defence. There was a little bit of concern that they couldn't get that 4th bonus point, but in the space of a couple of minutes, Will Jordan picked up a couple of tries from intercepts, and that's only in his second full international, and Patrick Tuipulotu sealing the deal right at the death there after the final whistle. All these tries converted by Richie Mo'unga, who was good off the tee, and of course a 38-0 victory to the All Blacks, and that takes them out to 11 points on the table with that one remaining game to come between Australia and Argentina. Paul, I would imagine you saw the game yourself.
Absolutely, and the big difference to me early on seemed to be that the All Blacks were getting over that gain line, and also Argentina were not slowing down the ball. Also, Argentina, a bit like England really, and we'll talk about them later, are a team that likes to get in front and then defend a lead. Chasing a game really isn't in their style, and so by not giving up an early score, I think the All Blacks really put themselves in the box seat for that game early on, even if it took a long time to wear down that Argentinian side. A bit more how we were expecting perhaps the games between Argentina and the All Blacks to go in the past, and good result from the All Blacks.
Oh yeah, and probably a very good result for the Under Siege coach Ian Foster as well. So a good way for the guys to finish the year. So they'll be returning home and going into isolation. But of course, there was another big game played at Eden Park where New Zealand Sport Radio was at last night, and it was the Tasman Mako, who are now the back-to-back champions, taking out the victory in a very tense, tight final in the 2020 Mitre 10 Cup by 13 points to 12 after they led by 10 points to 9 at half-time. Only the one try coming in the match, and that was a try right on half-time to Quinton McDonald. It was just one of those games that was played in the middle of the field on most occasions, and it was really a case of both teams really, I was going to say, not offering a heck of a lot in attack, especially in the first half. But I must admit, as the game wore on, Tasman looked the better team, especially at breakdown, and it was their loose forwards of Matamua Fox, also Sione Havili, and of course Hugh Renton, who I thought was the best in the Tasman pack. And we've got an interview with Hugh Renton up on the New Zealand Sport Facebook website, should I say. But good game all round. Lester Nuku looked the best back on the team, always carried strongly and got over the advantage line. For Auckland, a little bit of a missed opportunity. I popped into the after-match press conference, and of course, Alama Iramia, very disappointed. Just thought it was a missed opportunity, and it just shows you in finals like this, very, very small margins. I thought very tense and tight final. There were a couple of yellow cards as well, and I'd have to say probably deservedly so. Angus Tavawa got sent just before halftime, in fact, just before the try was scored. That was for repeated infringements. And, of course, Zahn Sullivan, a little bit unlucky. Unfortunately, as Tavawa was coming back onto the field, Zahn Sullivan was making his way off the field, and that was for a deliberate knockdown. And I think that probably that episode just seemed to seal Auckland's fate, although Auckland had one last chance near the end where Simon Hickey put a drop kick which just went to the right of the post, but only just. But really, Paul, at the end of the day, Tasman Muckle deserved winners, but I guess we'll discuss it a lot more this evening on tonight's show at 8 p.m.
Yeah, do join us for the Rugby Review show this time at 8 p.m. I thought personally that, Tasman had the better opportunities, but weren't really taking the points. In a game that struck me for a long, from pretty early on, it was going to be a three-pointer. Surprised we only had one drop goal attempt, which missed the post. But that will definitely be a discussion point this evening, I am sure.
Paul, definitely New Zealand Rugby needs to change their mindset. Even Tasman just as guilty as well. They, I think they may have even turned down a couple of penalty opportunities during that period where they actually dominated possession and territory, and I thought, man, here's the winning of the game. But yeah, look out for our interviews with Hugh Renton, also veteran Kieran Fornatier as well, who's obviously come back to New Zealand after playing for Ospreys and Scarlets in Wales, and he didn't think he'd ever get an opportunity like that. So good little backstory behind that. And also, whilst there wasn't too much comment from Auckland, I managed to catch up with the great Sir Michael Jones as well. So look out for those interviews. Don't forget to like those posts, because that guy sitting in with me, he needs to be fed. Plus, he needs a much better studio as well, so we can roll out a real professional show in 2021. Hey, Paul, love your work. Have really enjoyed covering the 2020 Mitre 10 Cup. One big game to come next weekend, which is Mana Pacifica versus New Zealand Māori, which I understand you're going to be at there. So have a great day, everybody.
Thank you very much. Yes, hopefully so. I've not actually got the details yet of that. Also, we've had rugby up in the Northern Hemisphere with the Autumn Nations Cup. And England, the whistle is just blown, and England have just beaten Wales 13-24. I've not seen that game yet, so I can't comment on that one, but I'll definitely be catching up on that one. Also, at 9:10 New Zealand time, France take on Italy as well. So we'll obviously bring you up to date with all of those scores from the Autumn Nations Cup in the show tomorrow morning. Moving on then to the basketball. And we have the 18 in 18 going on at the moment, which is the women's basketball. And coming off the back of beating the big upset against the Auckland Dream, the Swish took on the Gold Rush. And in a low-scoring affair, came out second with the Gold Rush, winning that one 58-48. So good result there. Sopoaga top scored for the Gold Rush with 15 points. But Warburton with 12 rebounds really led them on defence. For the Swish, though, Pence on it with 11 points, got most of got most of their points, but Whippy and Selby Rickett really couldn't recreate the heroics of the previous night's game for the Swish. This evening we have the Dream back on the court against the Gold Rush as we head into the last week of this competition. So a cracking competition that's been going on up there in Auckland, the 18 in 18, with the women's best basketball players in New Zealand going head to head. Over in Formula One, and yes, it's the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton led the way with qualifying. Will start on pole position. It's his 10th pole position of the season. His teammate Valtteri Bottas will be beside him on the front row, and Max Verstappen is third on the grid there. With his teammate who had the big crash on Friday, Alexander Albon, in fourth place. So Mercedes on the front row, Red Bull on the second row, and obviously we'll bring you results of how that Grand Prix went tomorrow morning on the morning sports briefing at 7 a.m. here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Over in the hockey, and yesterday we rounded out the women's regular season ahead of the finals this lunchtime, at midday and at 2 p.m. today. First up, the Alpiners beat the Tridents 1-3 in that one, which I think is the Alpiners' first victory of the season. So congratulations to them. They'll be really happy with that result. The Falcons saw off the Mavericks 2-1 in the second, the other final game yesterday. Even with that loss, for the Tridents, the Falcons will face the Tridents in the second playoff final, and the Mavericks versus the Alpiners will be playing in the third, fourth place final today. So I say that first game, Mavericks Alpiners at 12 p.m. Falcons versus Tridents at 2 p.m. The men will be back in action from the 2nd of December, leading up to their finals on the 6th of December next weekend. Over in the football, and we had two games yesterday in the men's Premiership. The Phoenix were down at home 4-0 by Eastern Suburbs, so a big win there for Eastern Suburbs. And Waitakere United and Team Wellington fought out a 2-2 draw. That sees Team Wellington top of the table, only 1 point ahead of Eastern Suburbs, with Hamilton Wanderers in third. But the Hamilton Wanderers are in action today when they take on Canterbury United. Canterbury United, which gives them the opportunity to go top of the table. Auckland City will also host Hawke's Bay United in that one. Over on the women's side, all three of the games are today. There were no games yesterday. Central Football will take on Capital Football. Auckland Football against Southern United, and Waikato by Plenty will take on Northern Lights. Canterbury United having the bye week this week over there in the football. Over in the golf and the European Tour it has its Alfred Dunhill tournament today or this weekend, sorry. And after the third round, the Polish golfer Moronk is leading the way, one shot clear of Shepa, who's on they're 14 and 13 under par. No Kiwi golfers involved this weekend. No action in the PGA or the LPGA this weekend. They'll be back in action next weekend. The PGA Tour will have the Hero World Challenge, whereas the LPGA will be back with the Volunteers of America Texas shootout. Do stick around here on New Zealand Sports Radio. We'll bring you all of the results from the golf as well. Finally, Hampton Downs has been confirmed as the host of the 66th New Zealand Grand Prix in the Toyota Racing Series. They are going to taking on for the first time the more challenging 4 kilometer international format track. So that'll be a good challenge for the drivers in that event. It's the open top. It's the open wheel cars racing in the Toyota Racing Series. So congratulations on Hampton Park for getting for getting the hosting rights for that race in January. You are now up to speed with all the important sports news. Have a wonderful Sunday, folks, and don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. this evening, for the rugby review show. We'll be going through the action from the Mitre 10 Cup. Obviously, we had the championship final on Friday night. We've got the Premiership final last night, and also that international, the Pumas versus the All Blacks as well. So one of the questions I'll be asking the boys is, will Akira Ioane get more caps than Rieko Ioane? Not something that we would never have thought of, or never really been on the cards up until his performances in the last two, or in these last two tests, the last couple of tests he's played in. Yes, I'll get the boys' views on that, plus many other talking points. So do join us at 8 p.m. for that show.